Okay, good morning. So today we are going to have a discussion regarding the 8 articles we selected for the article critique. We are students of the MA program in Applied Linguistics in English Language Teaching. And we are the team conformed by Alejandro Arriaga, Natalia Marentes, Dulce de Anda, and I, Patricia Linares. So, well, today I'm going to ask you a set of questions about the 8 articles we are already read. And we are going to have a critical discussions and to relate the information these articles provide with the subject and topics we already discussed in the classroom. Okay, so please, well, as I mentioned, I have a question for you. If you want to participate, please raise your hand and I will open the microphone for you. Any doubts or comments? No? Okay, so we are going to start. Please go to the first article that is called Perspective on the Bilingual Advantage. Please. Okay, you already have your notes? Yes, okay. So, well, these articles talk about if being bilingual is actually a benefit or maybe a disadvantage, because some authors in recent years have to put this question into a discussion. So please, Natalia, can you tell us some arguments about the disadvantage of being bilingual according to the reading? Okay, I will open your microphone.
Thank you, Patty, and hello, everyone. Good morning. So I think one of the main disadvantages about being bilingual is that your brain has too much information. So it's more confusing for bilingual students to acquire new vocabulary or to even retain this vocabulary because they already have a lot of information in their brains. And this can cause like a mental delay or failure to control any of both languages that they have.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Okay, the next question is for Dulce. Please open your microphone. And please, could you tell me what is the opposite argument to the question I already did to Natalia? It means how being bilingual could be beneficial.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Patty, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. So I find very interesting the disadvantages Natalia mentioned, because also in the article, the author mentions many advantages about being bilingual. So we can find advantages for the social area and also for the cognitive area. So, for example, he mentions about that being bilingual can increase the ability to communicate with other people, and also we can understand better other cultures, and we can have more background information about other cultures by knowing their language. And also, people nowadays in this globalized world need to be bilingual in order to get better job opportunities. And also for the cognitive aspect, the author mentions that being bilingual doesn't affect the process of the brain, because we can faster the attention. We can do multitasking activities because our attention increases a little bit more when a person is bilingual. So these are many advantages that we can have in contrast to the disadvantages.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. And Alejandro, please, after hearing these two positions, could you tell us what is your own position about this discussion?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I would like to address what Kennedy says in 2006. Well, the article she developed in which it was related to the cognitive aspects of the neuroscience for the educational fields. I mean, talking about the brain structure when it comes to the fact that we are learning a brand new language, there are no contradictions to the fact that learning a new language could improve our abilities to relate the fact that we are gathering information from one to another part of the brain, and also we are able enough to memorize the information in regards of the brain plasticity, which is the ability that has the brain cells to create and to develop brand new cells when we are learning and we are exercising our brain, which is called brain gymnastics. So I think that learning a brand new language could be somehow to do brain gymnastics.
Okay, very interesting, Alejandro. Thank you. So due to we have a few time, we are going to pass to the next article. And this is called Social Linguistic Justice in the School. Student researcher as a linguistic expert. Okay, you already have your notes? Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question. Well, this article talks about a program developed in the US that is called Skills. Okay, and that it means school kids investigating language in life and society. And this is pretty interesting program because it raises awareness in young learners about their linguistic life. Okay, so the first questions will be for, okay, Dulce. Okay, Dulce, can you explain us what are the goals of these programs?
Yes, thank you, Patty. So first I want to mention that this program was very interesting. It was very interesting to read this article. And according to the author, we can find 5 main goals. So some of the most important are, for example, the fact of having a linguistic valorization, because this program promotes the appreciation of linguistic variation or diversity. So this is a very important aspect. And also the linguistic inheritance. So this allows the learners to appreciate the background and also to include their background with the language. So this is in order to maintain their heritage language. So this is about maintenance of their language, which is a very important aspect as well. And we can also talk about the linguistic expertise. So by having students which come from different backgrounds and with who have different languages, they come in a certain way, become experts, and they can teach other learners about their culture, about their background, and obviously their language. So in my opinion, all of them are important, are relevant, but the most interesting one for me was the linguistic inheritance, because this includes the identity of the student. So by having this, they can maintain their identity, and their identity is taken into consideration because this is a very important aspect for their language development.
Okay, thank you very much, Dulce. Okay, the next question is for, okay, Alejandro. So please turn on your microphone. And well, please, Alex, tell me, how does these skill programs demonstrate the educational importance of providing the students awareness of their linguistic lives?
Well, actually, as my partner mentions, it was pretty interesting to get in touch with such features of the language according to the skills program, because it's related not for the basic educational aspects. I mean, in this program, you go outside as it goes from kindergarten to high school, and they give the learners the possibility to go outside and take the specific linguistic features that they do know that they will use in the future for their daily basis. I mean, they are not only related to what they obtain from their surroundings, but also they go beyond their universe, let's call it like that. They go beyond their universe and take what is relevant for them, talking about the linguistic aspects. Also, skills program demonstrated that the young people are capable enough to create and making original research contributions. I mean, talking about from the age gap, they are able to promote and produce original research without noticing that. And I think that's the main goal of the skills program, which develops researcher ability since they are kids or young people, actually. I think we should turn on your microphone, Patty. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Natalia, could you tell us like some biases about this specific article?
Yes, well, we know that it's very important to analyze the data. And of course, this positionality could cloud the judgment of the people. There could be certain biases, especially because their personality not only shapes the way they work, but it also influences the interpretation and understanding, and of course, their belief in the truthfulness or validity of their research. So I think this is a big bias that can take place here in the skills program.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Okay, so for this article, this will be all. Okay, so we are moving to the next one. And this is called Listening to Global Englishes. Okay, do you have it? Okay, so, well, this article talks about the different English variation regarding the accents. As you know, English is the most spoken language in these days. So there are several accents and variations to consider and to teach to our students, because we have the native speaker variations and the non-native speaking variations. Okay, so this article talks about a technique to use in the classroom with our students. So, okay. What do you think about this? What is your point of view on the use of global English in the EFL classroom, Dulce? Do you think it's necessary?
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with this point of view that we need to raise awareness on the students about the impact of English and the importance of considering different varieties or dialects of the language. So first, we have to consider that the number of non-native speakers is increasing nowadays. So this is a reality, and we have to consider that. And also, English is a lingua franca. So one way or another, we need to communicate in the language. And also because it has like a power and political, yes, it has a political power. So that's why it's an important language. And later on, students will need to communicate using that language for business, in their jobs, etc. So maybe it is not, it doesn't matter if the English is not native, if the English or the language, the variety we are teaching our students is like native like. the only thing we have to consider is that our students are aware of the fact that they are going to find different varieties of the language. It's okay, because the important thing is to communicate and to use it for their needs. So that's my point of view. I agree with the idea.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. So next question is for Natalia. Please open your microphone, Natalia. Okay,
Yes.
so the question here is that, well, in this study, Japanese students get used to listening to Chinese English variation in a very efficiently manner. But in the other hand, Italian accent was pretty difficult for them. Why do you think this happened?
All right, so we know when we practice listening skills, students become more aware and they improve their listening skills and also their accent. So what happened here was that the teachers use like certain accents that were very close to the Japanese area. So like Chinese, Filipino, Mongolian, Malaysian, and obviously Italian was very far away. Also speaking like linguistically, like the linguistic distance between Japanese and Italian, it's very big. So this is why the students adapted this accent of Chinese American or like this English accent better than the Italian American accent. I think your microphone is off, Pati.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. So Dulce wants to share something. Please open your microphone.
Yes, I would like to contribute something to what Natalia mentioned. And she talks about these linguistic differences or distance. And this also has to do with the phonological differences of both languages. So this can also interfere when learning and teaching the language. So this is, we can consider this also from that part, from the phonological aspect of the languages. They can have many differences in this aspect, and that also can interfere or contribute to the learning of the language.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. Alejandro, please open your microphone.
Thanks, Pati. Also, I do agree with both of my classmates that we have to acknowledge that first of all, the study was carried out in Japan. So Japan is obviously a multicultural and multilingual country. So talking about with our Mexican context, we have to leave behind the fact that if we are not proudly speaking phonetically correct, like the British English or the American English, it is our Mexican accent that lies, that is appropriating our culture. I mean, we have to acknowledge our culture and leaving behind the fact that we are not native speakers, but we have to improve in according to our students. We have to improve within the pronunciation, within the phonetical aspects, as Dulce mentioned, and acknowledge the other varieties of English, which are not correct and which are not incorrect. They are just the nature of the language, which is the main goal of the learning.
Thank you, Alejandro. Okay, and this discussion is pretty interesting, but we have to move to the next article because we have little time. So the next one is the motivation and anxiety interface in language learning, a regulatory focus perspective. Okay, so, well, this article makes a relationship between the regulatory focus theory and the English language learning. This theory were developed in psychology, and it talks about how the person reach a goal. And in this case, we are understanding English learning as a goal, okay? So to be more clear, please, Natalia, could you tell us what is self-regulatory theory about?
Yes, thank you, Patty. Well, as you previously mentioned in your description, we have a theory called the self-regulatory theory, which is the development of the selection of goals and how we're going to achieve these goals. So this is like very personal, and we have to know how to modify our goals in order to achieve them. Also, we have to be very aware of the constraints and the opportunities that we have in our environment in order to achieve these specific goals. And as you said, one of them could be English. So a language, maybe like language attainment or language proficiency, could be one of our goals.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. So the next question will be for Alejandro. Please, could you tell us what are the two types of individuals according to the chronic regulatory theory?
Actually, this article portrays a brand new way to see these two types of individuals, the promotion and the prevention ones, the promotion focus and the prevention focus. The first ones are individuals which are more like outgoing persons, which are the ones that take risks, the ones that are able to free themselves in order to like attach the idea. And on the other hand, the second type, it's more like an insider. It worries more about what the possible issues and what the possible problems will emerge somehow. And they are creating all the time strategies in order to avoid such issues. I mean, they have a pretty potential way to embrace the knowledge, but also they are pretty scary people to saying something.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, so next question is for Dulce. What implication have this theory in English language teaching?
Yeah, thank you, Patty. First of all, I want to say that it was very interesting, the distinction that the author makes between both types. And also he mentions that as teachers, we have the responsibility of acknowledging our students about the type of students that they are, according to these two distinctions. So this is in order to promote activities or didactic strategies for them. So I think that the idea here is not to change our students, because that is not the goal. We cannot change people. We have to help them or assess them into how to guide their types, like their characteristics, in order to take advantage in a certain way of these characteristics, but not to force them to do something. Like, for example, if they are the promotion type, no, you need to be more preventive. No, this is not the goal. We need just to implement activities that could, in a certain way, make or raise awareness on our students about which type of learners they are. So this is like the main implication.
Thank you, Dulce. So it means we as a teacher have to adapt to our students' needs and personality. Okay, thank you. So we are moving to the next article. And this is called Developmental Sociolinguistic Children's Acquisition of Language Variation. Okay, and for me, this was a pretty interesting article because it talked about how children, very young children, around 2 or 3 years old, acquire a language variation, specifically the accent. As we already learned in the classroom, the accent has like social implications because, well, we think it's a bias, of course, that the accents talks about class and our socio-economical status and other implications. But of course, young children don't know nothing about this. They learn this when they are older, and they raise awareness about the social classes and economic status and stuff like that. So the first question is for Alejandro. Please, could you tell us, according to the article, how do the sequential and the parallel view of variation differ?
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I mean, Lavov proposed that way to see the kids. I mean, the sequential view. It was stating that the children are only have this monostylistic overview in which they all acquire their language knowledge regarding what they have on their surroundings. I mean, for example, their parents. This article proposes that the children will acquire the strong basis of knowledge regarding what their parents are transmitting somehow to them, which we could agree or disagree with that. But I think that that's a pretty interesting point of view, demonstrating that the children are just using this point of view relating to what they have on their surroundings. But it has several biases. I mean, talking about what their psycholinguistic profile would say about this.
Thank you, Alex. Dulce, do you want to share something?
Yes, thank you. I would like to compliment what my partner mentioned about the parallel view discussed in the article. So here the author suggests that many authors disagree with this idea of the sequential perspective about the acquisition of the linguistic variation, because they mention that children acquire the linguistic variation along with the standard variation. So this occurs simultaneously. So also they can make these distinctions when they are very young. And we have to understand that language is dynamic. So it's not like a linear process. They can interact with different variations of the language, like multiple dialects, pronunciations, or phonological aspects. So this is like the parallel view. And these are like the distinctions that we can find.
Thank you, Dulce. Okay, Natalia, so for you is the next question. And okay, could you tell us, please, according to this article, how is variation acquired?
Okay, so language variation is easily acquired throughout exposure. So the more the children are exposed to the language, the more they're going to acquire certain speech patterns. I was thinking about when you're little and you're trying, for example, just to learn your mother tongue. And we start like trying to put this grammatical sense into our lives without knowing it, of course. And we have, for example, nadar, yo no nado. Comer, yo no como. But for example, with the verb saber, we cannot say yo no sepo. Or I'm sorry, you cannot say yo no sabo. We say yo no sé. So some kids will say sepo or sabo. And of course, this is wrong and adults correct them. But if children are not exposed to these corrections of the language, they're never gonna acquire this language variation. So I think it's very important that the children are exposed to the language, because they overgeneralize grammatical structures, but we have rules in all the languages, and we have to be exposed to to native speakers in order to attain this sense of grammatical.
Thank you, Natalia. Okay, we have 8 minutes only, unfortunately. So please, I'm going to ask you to give more short and concise answers because we are running out of time. Okay, so we are moving on to the next article, and this is called Bilingualism, Mind and Brain. And this article talks about the 3 different discoveries about bilingualism. And this have a relationship with the first article we discussed, but we are going to focus on the last discover beneficial to the mind according to this article. And this is about the neutral consequences of bilingualism. Do you have some examples, Dulce?
Yes, so I have this example of the differences of how the Alzheimer is diagnosed in bilingual and monolingual people. So, for example, there are some authors who suggest, like LSD, 2013, that the patients who are bilingual, they were diagnosed 5 or 4 years later compared to monolingual people, and they received like more damage in their brain because they were not diagnosed early.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. Alejandro, please give us another example.
Actually, I have a pretty good example about that and talking about what their specific tools for sizing and measuring brain structures are conducted by. Abu Talebi in 2012 conducted a research in which they gave a symbol, an arrow, which points out at several directions. And he was showing that symbol to non-bilingual and bilingual persons, monolingual and bilingual persons. So he demonstrated through the fMRI, which is the functional magnetic resonance imaging. This is a specific technique that colorates the areas of the brain that are currently using it. And he shows the symbol to the monolinguals and bilinguals, and he realizes that when the fMRI was performing, the monolinguals had to activate the cingulus cortex, which is the task area of the brain. And on the other hand, the bilingual people should not activate that specific area, which is related to the fact that the monolinguals require more proficiency in the brain structures and all the connections according to the plasticity in the brain than the bilingual people, which are more faster in terms of task completion and task level, okay, according to the monolingual persons, which I think it's pretty important to mention because this is one of the main studies that are showing through a specific tool what is happening in the brain according to the structures.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So, okay, we have less than 5 minutes. We have only 4 minutes. So I would like to you to do a statement about how this course has helped you in the development of your research, how it has changed your point of view of English language teaching. So I'm going to start with Natalia. Okay, Natalia, could you tell us in 1 minute how this course helped you? How all this information has helped you and changed your point of view of English language teaching? Do you think this could have improved your practice?
I think all these articles are so varied that it helps us to realize some problems in the classroom that we didn't know we have. Because as working with humans, we have all these little heads that are all very different. And these variety of articles help us to analyze how our students learn, how our students acquire a language, either the mother tongue or the target language, and how can we help them and like research more about the problems that we can and we cannot see in a language classroom. I think in 1 minute that will sums it up.
Thank you, Natalia. Okay, Alejandro, please, in 1 minute, how do you feel with all of this information? Do you feel like you will have improved your teaching skills?
Actually, talking about not only for my teaching skills, but as an applied linguist, I would like to acknowledge this specific information, and also all the tools that our teachers are giving back to us are pretty important in the fact that we are developing a brand new way to see the language, to see the culture, to acknowledge the language features and use this for our daily basis life, and also for the improvement of our profession, actually.
Thank you, Alejandro. Okay, Dulce, the same question for you.
Yes, Pati. So I would like to mention that as applied linguists, we should put together all this information, because sometimes there are some perspectives that are not taken by any article, that there are some aspects that maybe some authors do not consider, but we should consider. About any process or feature, we have more knowledge about that, and we can consider different aspects, like to see the problem or to see a process from a different perspective, like from a social linguistic perspective, psycholinguistic, pragmatical, etc. So that's what I can conclude from this discussion.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. So, well, we have only 1 minute. And well, I want to thank you, all of you, to be here, to share your ideas, to take the time to read the articles, and to answer my questions. And well, this is a very extensive subject, so obviously we only had 40 minutes. And maybe in the future will be a good idea to develop another discussion, but with a little more time to express all our ideas. So, well, thank you, all of you. This is all for today, and see you in classes. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.